Yo, what's going on, guys? As you can see in the title and the thumbnail, today we're talking about 10 things that I hate about my PS5. You know, it's been about 8 months, and I ain't gonna lie, it started out as 5 things and it kind of worked its way up to 10. So stay tuned if you're interested in knowing the 10 things that I hate, whether you're looking to get one or if you already have one and you just want to see if we have some of those things in common. We're gonna get right to it though. We ain't gonna waste no time. If you guys enjoy, like, comment, subscribe. It helps out tremendously. I appreciate it greatly. All links are down below in the description, but without further ado, let's get right to it. Alright, so starting off the list, we might as well talk about the look of it. The look of it I actually like. I don't mind the look. It's the size. It's the size that gets me. The size is just, it's way too big. It's awkward. You know, you can't really stick it in certain places. You got to find a special spot for it where there's a lot of room.
That's what she said.
In most entertainment centers, you know, you're not going to be able to fit it in certain places. So I've seen a lot of people, they have to put it right by the TV. So that's definitely a negative for me. Definitely one thing that I dislike. And I did name it 10 things that I hate. I don't actually hate any of these things. It's just like strong dislikes to some of them. Hate is a very strong word. You know, I dislike. Hate, you know, it adds more for the appeal of the video. So that's why, you know, I put 10 things that I hate instead of 10 things that I dislike. But I think a lot of people are looking forward to the PlayStation 5 Pro because, you know, they're going to make it a lot slimmer, a lot less bulky. And that's something that I'm looking forward to as well. So the first thing that I strongly dislike about the PlayStation 5 is the size. Getting into the next thing that I dislike very strongly is the storage. Now this is something that a lot of people have talked about, you know, ever since the PlayStation was coming out. They only give you a little bit over 700 gigabytes. It's not even a full terabyte. There's no SSDs that we could use yet. So every time you want to play a new game, you have to pick one that you want to delete. Especially if you play Call of Duty, you know, that's a huge game. Sony did say that they are going to do a firmware update allowing you to use SSDs sometime in the summer. It is summer, so we're still waiting on that. I do actually have one that I have been waiting to use. Shout out to my man Will for sending me this. I've been waiting to use this, the Rocket 4 Plus, link down below in the description. This is going to be a good one to use. This is a full terabyte right here. And as soon as that firmware update comes, this is the one that I will be using. So shout out to Will once again for sending me that. There is a link down below in the description if you're interested in one of those. That is something that the Xbox has up on the PlayStation right now. You can use an expansion card for the Xbox already. And it comes with more storage just right out the box. I ain't gonna lie, it's a little disrespectful from PlayStation giving us such low storage straight out the box on a next-gen console. Come on, at least a terabyte, man. You can't give us less than a terabyte. It's very disrespectful. So that's gonna be another thing that I hate. You know, I will say hate on that one, even though I don't really hate anything. The storage, the size of the storage, totally disrespectful. That's gonna be on the list for sure. The next thing that we got to talk about, of course, is the resolution. Now I am actually playing on a 1440p monitor, and instead of playing on the 1080p setting, it does let me use the 4K setting, but of course it's not really gonna look as good as 4K. But the PlayStation does not support 1440p. This, again, very disrespectful by Sony. I don't know why they would not support one of the most popular resolutions that people play on. I've heard some people say because their TVs don't support 1440p, so they didn't want to offer something that their TVs don't support. I don't know how true that is, but either way, crazy that it doesn't support 1440p. Another thing I find very disrespectful. Come on, Sony. I mean, you gotta offer 1440p, man. You gotta support 1440p. That's the most popular one, and Sony doesn't support it. So that is like 2 thumbs down on that one. Definitely going high up on the list of the things that I hate about the PS5. Now, Sony did say that if there was enough of demand, they will be adding this in a firmware update in the future. But come on, man, there's a demand. You know there's a demand. I don't know how you could put this out thinking there wouldn't be a demand. They should have just came out with 1440p. Drop the update already, man. Give us the 1440p that you already knew that we wanted. All right, so this next one I would say is more of an issue for people who stream, such as myself, but it could even be an issue for people who don't stream. Already seeing that it doesn't have an optical cable makes it an issue, but then they took away the option to have the audio come through the headset and the speakers. You could only choose one or the other, headset or TV. So with that being said, if you do stream and you want your game chat audio to come through to your stream, you have to go out and purchase an HDMI adapter. And I do have the adapter that I use linked down below in the description. It works good. You know, it kind of makes the audio, you know, in your headphones sound a little different, not as crisp as it did before. But, you know, you got to do what you got to do. There's no optical in the PlayStation or the Xbox. But at least on the Xbox, they give you the option still to play it through the TV and the headset. So you don't really need the HDMI adapter for the Xbox. But the PlayStation, you definitely need it. So for streamers and even some people who are just gamers that want that option to be able to hear it through both, definitely a negative, 2 thumbs down, something that I very much dislike about the PlayStation 5. Getting into the next thing that I dislike or hate about the PlayStation 5 is the stand. This isn't like such a hate, you know, it's just something that I dislike. It's not nothing crazy. The stand does feel kind of cheap. You know, it does feel more secure in my opinion when you put it horizontally. It actually clips into the back. And this goes again with the awkwardness of the PlayStation 5. You know, there is a need for the stand because if you just put it on the shells itself, it's kind of flimsy, you know, and they say not to do that. So just the need to have a stand is kind of, you know, I don't really like it. The Xbox is so convenient that you don't need a stand. You could put it however and it's going to be fine, and it's sturdy. But the PlayStation, obviously it's not as sturdy. I do like the look of it, but the need for a stand is kind of a downfall, and especially when you put it vertically, you got to screw it in. I usually don't like to place my consoles vertically just because I feel like it puts more stress on the motor. So horizontally has always been the way to go for me. But with the size of the console and where I have them placed at the moment, it's just a lot more convenient for me to put them vertically. And the PlayStation, I don't know, man, it scares me sometimes. I don't know how secure it is. I would advise that you do put the screw in there. It's just, you know, it's a hassle because if I ever want to move it or, you know, put it horizontally, then I gotta unscrew it. And I don't know if that's just me being lazy or, you know, it's just extra, you know. But that is a downfall in my opinion with the PlayStation 5, the stand. Now on to the next thing, which has been a huge plus for the PlayStation 5, the controller. Now there's not too many bad things to be said about the controller. Some people say the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers are overrated. I don't feel like they are. I love them. I feel like that was a huge plus and a reason that I've got a lot of the games for the PlayStation 5 over the Xbox, or thinking about getting games in the future on the PS5 over the Xbox because of the triggers and the haptic feedback. It just adds an extra element to the game and it makes it more enjoyable in my opinion, and a lot of my peers out there as well from what I've seen. But one thing I will say about the new PlayStation controller is it just feels a little too bulky. You know, when it comes to the Xbox controller, they've always been good ever since the Xbox 360. Before the Xbox 360, way too bulky. I didn't like the original Xbox controller whatsoever, but Xbox 360, man, in my opinion, and I feel like it's popular opinion, that the Xbox has always had the best controller as far as feeling and, you know, just game ability as opposed to the PlayStation. And it's no different for me when it comes to the new Xbox controller. Even though it does feel a little more cheap and they didn't really upgrade too many things on it, the feeling of it still feels perfect. When you put it, it just feels like your hands are magnets and it just goes perfectly into place with the Xbox controller. That's just how I feel. I think they got it down. I don't ever think they need to switch up how the Xbox controller feels. They could add some stuff like haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and, you know, add little things here and there. But as far as the size and the feel of the Xbox controller, I don't think they need to change that at all. I mean, in my opinion, it's perfect. But when it comes to the PlayStation 5 controller, it just feels a little too wide, and I kind of like the placement of the Xbox sticks a lot better too. Placed diagonally like that, I don't know, my thumb just feels like it wants to be up here and then this one down here. So like when I have both thumbs right here, it doesn't feel as comfortable. Even though I do feel like it feels better than the PlayStation 4 controller, it's just a little too bulky. The next thing that we got to talk about with the PlayStation 5 is the home page. They took away our ability to create folders. There's no more organization. All the games are just, you know, out like that. Whatever games you've played most recent, and then whatever other games, I mean, if you're even able to fit any other games from what's on here because the storage is so small. But if you are, all the other games would be in the game library. A lot of people liked creating their folders of, you know, the genres, and some people have kids. They play games and their kids play games, so they separate their games and their kids' games. So the ability to do that, I don't know why they would take that away. And also the customization. On Xbox, you could customize your homepage and the dashboard a lot more than you can here on the PlayStation. You can't really customize it at all. I do like how when you hover over certain things, you know, you can see the game's theme, and some of them play songs, like as you could hear with Grand Theft Auto and Ghost of Tsushima. But I would like there to be some customization. You know, it just makes it feel more like your own thing. And I really don't know why, you know, it's just weird to me why they would take out certain things like the organization, like 1440p, like having the option to hear the game through the TV and the headphones. So this is another thing that I dislike about the PlayStation 5. Another thing that I dislike about the PlayStation 5 is the amount of clicks that it takes to get to a certain thing that you want to do. So say if you want to turn the PlayStation off, right? You can't just hold the PlayStation button anymore. You got to press the button, then you got to go all the way over here to the power, then you got to click the power, and then you got to turn it off. Whereas before, you could just hold the PlayStation button down and you could turn it off from there. You can't do that anymore. And that's not the only thing. There is other things where it just takes way too long, too many clicks to be able to get to where you want to go. And I feel like they could trim that down a little. I do like the way everything looks, you know, I like the changes that they've made to it. And I do like how media and games are separated. And I like the look of the UI a lot more than the Xbox. You know, the Xbox is a little more cluttered up, I feel like, but it just takes too many clicks. So if they could just trim down the amount of clicks that it takes to do certain things, I would definitely appreciate that. And I feel like I ain't the only one who feels that way. So this next one is kind of a good and a bad thing depending on how you look at it. But what I'm talking about is the mic that they have in the PlayStation 5 controller. So it is good because if you don't have a headset, or if you lose your headset, if it breaks, then there is a new mic in here and there is a speaker. So you could talk to your friends, you could hear them through the controller itself. So that is a good thing. But if you do forget that you don't have this muted, see, you could mute this at any time. But if you do forget and you're playing a game and you're just talking, having a random conversation, you know, talking about personal things, and you don't remember that this thing isn't muted, then your whole game chat, whoever you're playing with, is going to be able to hear that conversation through the controller. And a lot of people, I'm sure that happens all the time. And that is something that is a negative of having a mic in this controller. Now, thankfully for me, I usually have my headset on or connected. So the mic for this is never really active. At least I don't think it is. But that's just something to look out for and be aware of if you're not using your headset. Be careful what you talk about while you're playing these games on the PlayStation, because they just might hear you. Make sure you got this thing muted. Finally, to the last thing that I hate, quote unquote, about the PlayStation 5, something that the Xbox has up on the PlayStation, and it's a big thing in my opinion. The PlayStation doesn't have quick resume. Now on the Xbox, you could be playing a game, and from that game you could go straight into another game, and then when you go back to that game, you're gonna be in the exact same spot that you left off in. That's not the case with the PlayStation 5. It does have game switcher, which is cool, and it kind of gives you the illusion that when you go from one game to another, it's going to do the same thing as the Xbox with the quick resume. But that is not the case. Be careful, because if you do switch from one game to another with the switcher, if you didn't save your progress, it's not going to save. It's going to restart you from whatever last checkpoint. It's going to start the game all over, whatever. It doesn't have quick resume, so that's a negative for me. They really got to get that quick resume, man. Do the update. They got to get the 1440p. They got to update it so we could use SSDs. Bring the customization back. Bring the organization back. Trim down the amount of clicks that it takes to do certain things. Bring 1440p back, because everybody plays on 1440p, and give us some quick resume, man. I don't think it's too much to ask for. I feel like this is something that everybody could relate to with the PlayStation 5. And those are the 10 things that I hate about the PlayStation 5. Some things a lot more than others. Certain things on here, you know, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, I decided to add it anyway to make it a whole list of 10 things. But there it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys could relate, or let me know if you're looking for a PlayStation 5 and the list of these things kind of turned you off and maybe you're gonna get an Xbox now. Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. I appreciate you guys. If you guys did enjoy, like, comment, subscribe. It helps out tremendously. If you guys are interested in any of the things that I use or the 1391 merch, it's all linked down below in the description. If you want to become a member of the channel and game it with us, lately we've been on Grand Theft Auto, so if you want to come through and game it up on some Grand Theft Auto, do a couple heists, then feel free to become a member and game it with us anytime that we go live. I do go live throughout the week, so come through and kick it. But until the next time, I appreciate you guys once again. Louis 13 Gaming checking out. Salute.